A few years ago, I suddenly remembered about a village I once visited. It was a friendly little village I discovered by chance while traveling alone. I stayed there overnight and received a most heartwarming welcome. For some reason, I don't know, I felt an urge to go there again. I have a good memory and was pretty confident that I remembered the way to get there. Once near the village, I spotted a familiar signpost for my car, which, if my memory was right, should have read blank kilometers to blank, the village name. But strangely enough, all there was on the sign were the words, "The Big Head O." I had a bad feeling when I saw it, but decided to still drive on. When I arrived at the village, I found it deserted and all the houses buried in weeds. I was deeply puzzled and was about to get off the car when I saw, about 20 meters ahead of me, something that looked like a human with a very large head looming out of the bushes. What? What is that? While I was trying to figure out what was going on, I saw other similar creatures coming out all around me. Moreover, they started to come after me and moving in a grotesque manner, with their arms lying still against their side and their large heads swinging side to side. I was glad I hadn't left the car. I let the car run backwards and at lightning speed, and then joined the main road. Afterwards, I checked my map, but the location of the village I visited a few years ago and the place I went on that day were unmistakably one and the same. However, I don't think I will dare to go there ever again. Seven Misaki, or Shichinin Misaki in Japanese, is a name given to a group of 7 vengeful spirits. They are spirits of 7 people who had met their ends in tragic ways, such as by drowning. They usually haunt places like sea or riverside. The 7 Misaki's soul are so full of grudge that they will not rest until they succeed at possessing and eventually killing another 7 human beings. Only then they become appeased and are able to leave this world. The unfortunate victims of 7 Misaki become the new 7 Misaki, and they too must look for another 7 victims to replace them, so that they can rest in peace. This happened when my aunt was living in a flat in Tokyo. My aunt was then studying to be a seamstress, and when she came home it would always be well past midnight. Her apartment block was an old type, built with wood and iron stairs set outside, which made a clanging noise whenever my aunt used them to go up to her room on the first floor. There was a room on the ground floor, just beside the iron staircase, and through its window my aunt would often see, on the way to her own room, a silhouette of a young woman with braided hair. The young woman always appeared busy cooking and doing some houseworks in spite of the very late hours. A year and a half had passed and my aunt's lifestyle had remained unchanged. She would come home late every night and see the young woman's silhouette through the window and hear noises coming from there, although she never got to see the young woman directly. One time my aunt was late paying her rent and her landlord came to her room for collection. They had a little chat, and while at it my aunt casually mentioned to her landlord about the young woman on the ground floor. As soon as her words were out, she noticed her landlord's face had gone pale. He left her then and there, as if he was running away, completely forgetting what he had come for. It was sometime later that my aunt got a chance to hear a proper explanation from her landlord. He said that the young woman whom my aunt saw was probably a ghost of the woman who committed suicide after she had an affair with a married man, which ended very badly. That room on the ground floor, he said, had been empty for years. The young woman's lover often visited her after midnight, so she would often prepare meals for him around that time. People should never have affairs, don't you think? I was dreaming. Ever since I was a child, I was sometimes aware, when I was dreaming, that I was in a dream. This time was the same. I was standing on the platform of a dark, empty railway station. What a gloomy dream, I thought. Then an announcement was made in a dull, spiritless voice of a man. "The train is approaching. If you get on it, Something scary will happen to you. It sounded nonsensical. Soon the train came in. It wasn't a proper train, but rather like a monkey train you might see in amusement parks, and there were some men and women seated on it in a row. I sensed something unusual about the dream, but decided to get on the train just to see how much fear I could take. If I really found it too much, I could always wake up. I was able to make myself wake up whenever I wanted, but the only time I could do that was when I was aware I was dreaming. I settled in the third seat from the back. The air around me felt so realistically warm it was hard to believe this was a dream at all. "The train is departing," said the announcement, and the train started moving. My heart was pounding hard with both anxiety and expectation. The train entered into a tunnel soon after leaving the platform. The tunnel was illuminated with a mysterious purplish light. This tunnel, I thought, is like the tunnel I saw on that ghost train ride in an amusement park I was once on when I was a child. This thing I'm on too is just a monkey train. After all, this dream, like any other dream, is just made up of pieces of my own memories. It doesn't feel scary at all. Just then there was another announcement. "The next station is Sliced Alive." Sliced alive. Sliced alive? You mean like a fish? While I was still wondering, a loud scream broke out from behind. When I turned around, I saw the man in the last seat was surrounded by 4 ugly midgets dressed in rags. Before my eyes, the man was cut into pieces with sharp knives, just like what they would do to prepare for a sliced fish dish. An overpowering stench filled the air, and the man screamed and screamed until my ears began to hurt. Bloody intestines and various organs were pulled out of the man's body and scattered all around him. Immediately behind me sat an ashen-faced woman with long hair, but she seemed totally uninterested of what was happening behind her, in spite of the ghastly din it was making. I, for one, was certainly unprepared for this turn of events, and began to feel scared. I thought I would wait a little longer and see what happened next, and then try to wake up. Before I knew it, the man on the last seat was gone, leaving behind only some dark reddish blood and chunks of meat. The woman behind me was still looking straight ahead with a blank look on her face. "The next station is Gouging Out." "Gouging out," the announcement said. This time 2 midgets appeared, and with something that looked like serrated spoons they began to gouge out the eyes of the woman behind me. The woman's face, which had been totally blank only a moment before, turned into a mask of great fear and pain. Then came from her a piercing scream which nearly shattered my eardrums. I saw her eyeballs pop out. The stench of sweat and blood was unbearable. I bent over, trembling with fear. This was it. I couldn't bear it anymore. Guessing from how things had been, the next would be my turn, since I sat in the third seat from the back. I was going to wake up, but not. I decided before I checked what the announcement would be next. "The next station is Mince Meat." Mince meat. This was the worst I could possibly expect. I could easily imagine what was going to happen. I focused all my energy on waking up from the dream. Wake up, wake up, wake up. This intensive praying was usually enough to escape from a dream. Abruptly, I heard something buzzing and wheezing close to me. A midget crawled up into my lap and held up some sort of device and waved it towards me. It must be a tool to turn me into mincemeat. Still, all I could do was close my eyes and tight and pray frantically. "Come on, please, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up." The buzzing sound was getting closer and closer. Finally, it got so close that I felt the wind pressure on my face, and just when I thought that was the end of me, everything became quiet and still. I had managed to escape from the nightmare. I was wet all over with sweat, and tears were streaming down my cheeks. It wasn't until after I went into the kitchen and drank tons of water that I was finally able to calm down. The dream was real, too real. But it was just a dream, nothing more, I told myself. The following day at school, I told my friends about the dream. They just found it funny. It was only a dream, they said, and that was all. Then 4 years passed and I became a college student. I kept myself busy with studying and working. So much had been going on in my life that by that time, I had completely forgotten about the dream. But one night it started again. The next station is gouging out. Gouging out. The dream began from that scene. Immediately my memories came flooding back. Things carried on in exactly the same way as before. The two midgets were gouging out the woman's eyes. I started praying straight away. Wake up, wake up, wake up. But this time, for some reason, I couldn't wake up as easily as the last time. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. The next station is mince meat. Mince meat, said the announcement. The time was running out. I heard the familiar buzzing and it was getting closer and closer. Wake up, come on, wake up, wake up, wake up. A dead silence descended. I somehow managed to escape again. With a huge relief, I was about to open my eyes when I heard, "You're going to run away again? But the next time is going to be your last." It was the voice of the announcer in the dream. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my own room. The last voice wasn't part of the dream. I heard it in the real world. There's no mistake about it. Why me? What things have I done to deserve this? Since then, I have not had the same dream again, but I know that if I ever dream it again, I will die. Probably by a heart attack or something. It might appear to be a heart attack in the real life, but it will be mincemeat in the other world.
In this little shop of horrors, that's how we get down. Yeah, enter the projects on the prairie. Scary, greet you at the gate with Bloody Marys. Blood, a rail full of blood. Back to the cemetery, get more blood. Standing on the grave, drinking blood, smoking bones. We seen a crew of ghouls running by with stolen tombstones. With Hell's Angels on the chase, they lust to bust a black skull. Want you embrace, they tie you up in chains and they stomp on your face. They go to purgatory and they beat the fucking case. I look around, mad bodies being